Hi, I'm Stephen John Drew from Better Podcasting, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. Just like the show you're listening to now, the opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Check out all the other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 500. That's right, 500 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. This is recorded live on Sunday, September 25th, 2022. I'm Chris. Joining me, I had the usual band of misfits. We'll start first with Mr. Willie D. Nelson.
Oh, pop it out your eye. Try a new
No. No.
pop it out your eye.
No.
Try it.
No.
Try again next week.
No.
500.
No. Are we done with these tries? You're also really low, by the way.
We're in the middle of a flashback.
We don't have the FX budget for that. While Willie's having his flashback, we're going to go over to Mr. Anthony Bachman.
And for the 500th time, I am a meat popsicle.
Popsicles. Willie's still flashing back, it appears, as we flip to the try screen. But yes, you guys did hear that right. This is the 500th episode. We don't really have any grand plan other than doing what we normally do. Nobody wants to go back and do a retrospective of 10-year-old bad hot takes on geek culture and news, do they?
How about concurrent bad takes on geek culture?
Yeah, like Willie's thoughts on the DC universe.
Man of Steel's the best one.
You misspelled Shazam.
Yeah, you did. And you mispronounced it.
This is not the best one.
It's certainly not Man of Steel. I'll concede
It's
it may
definitely
not
the
be
most
Shazam.
fun one. I'll give you that. Is that fair? It's the most fun one.
What do I have to give up in return if I concede that point?
Man of Steel has the best fight scenes.
You know, I'm willing to consider that, actually. Because say what you want about Zack Snyder, his fight scenes are generally pretty cool on film. I'm
That's all
willing
I
to
really
consider it.
want from a Superman movie is good fight scenes.
I mean, but a
That's all I got.
Superman movie should be about more than just punching the bad guy.
Yeah, well, a good Superman movie.
I want him to let go and fully use his strength. Not
No, he never should, because he's Superman. They literally did an episode about that in the Justice League cartoon, about the fact that he's surrounded by cardboard all
We
the
could
time
just-
and can't cut loose.
If we had a flashback button right now would be the time to hit that, because I think we've brought that up
Yeah.
at least a dozen times on this
Yeah.
show.
Superman
whenever-
doesn't cut loose.
Whenever
He
we
never
argue
would,
this point.
because he's afraid innocent people would get hurt.
Oh, by the way, Willie, if
See,
you,
I was doing the flashback thing and he was saying the exact same shit.
right? If you get a
Well,
chance,
it
Willie,
worked.
can
It
you
worked.
shift your mic a little closer? You're coming in very low. Oh my.
Uh-oh, now we're just going to hear the hair in his nose whistle. It's going to be so
How's that?
close.
It's in my crotch.
Ah,
Like I'm talking to my dick.
Well, it wouldn't
How
be
you
the
doing
first time
today?
on this show.
explains why we
Doing
can't
well,
hear
little
anything.
buddy. Your head's like a little bulbous and soft. Please.
I hope he's talking to the pop filter on his microphone right now.
Is that what we're calling it nowadays?
Please, dear God.
Look what you started, Chris. This is all your fault.
Filter. I don't wear condoms.
I don't actually have a pop filter for this microphone, but I do have other microphones that do have a pop filter.
I have a bunch of pops. I don't have any filters.
You have a pop filter on your mic right now. I see it.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a pop filter.
Since people love references and everything, and we're talking about pop, does anyone remember pop-up video?
Vaguely.
From
Vaguely. It was.
VH1.
I'm a little too old for it.
Yeah, I didn't watch a ton of VH1, so.
I like the pop-up video because I love trivia, and it showed a lot of trivia during it.
Yeah,
true.
the trivia part was good.
I'll be honest, I'm not really an MTV guy either, because when MTV happened here in the States, I was living overseas, and we didn't get MTV on our satellite dish that we had.
I was an MTV guy back when they showed music videos.
I remember watching some, like, God, this is probably 1989 when my babysitter was over. I was like, let's watch MTV. And I was like, okay. And we were watching weird music videos. I don't remember what they were, but I was like, this is kind of cool. Bear in mind, 1989, I was like 5 years old. So
all the weird videos didn't come until the 90s.
This is true.
All the Tool videos. Oh, God, those were weird.
Yeah,
although I do remember living in Belgium in the early 2000s, and my one buddy, and he would always want to watch MTV just for the Britney Spears music videos. And I was like, oh, he's just banking things in his head right now. It's not for the music.
Nope, it's for the
and related news, I recently, like a couple of days ago, someone mentioned something about Britney Spears' Instagram. Holy shit, she's showing off everything in that.
Apparently, she's...
Is she?
She's enjoying her newfound freedom.
Well,
let's say that.
Let's put it
She's
this way.
no longer basically a slave to people who controlled every aspect of her life and is allowed to make her own decisions. If you've been under the heel of tyrants for 20-some-odd years, you get a taste of freedom, you go a little crazy.
It's freedom she should have had ages ago. Let's just
exactly.
that.
Had a buddy in high school whose parents followed him from junior high to high school. His dad was a football coach the whole time. He never, so at home, at school, constant. Do exactly what you're told all the time. Gets a scholarship to go to college football up in the north end of the state, up in Moscow. Within the first year, it's the first time he wasn't under his parents' heel. And he started having heavy drinking problems, lost his job, lost his scholarship, got kicked off the football team, and kicked out of college because it was the first moment he'd ever had any freedom. Sometimes people go nuts the first time you get a little bit of freedom.
It's true. I saw it. I mean, hell, we all see it. When you guys decide to go to college, anyone who may be listening to this, that first year of school, you see a lot of folks that get that first taste of freedom. And they go a bit wild, and you're like, oh, you're not going to make it through this, are you? And you'll see a bunch of people leaving at the end of that first semester that you'll never see again.
Yep, it's kind of sad.
I went to a school that constantly ranks high in the party school rankings. You gotta, let's put it this way. They're all like, Morgantown's not ready for me when they're coming here. I'm like, oh, no. Morgantown's always ready. And Morgantown almost always wins, guys. You're not going to come to one of the top ranked party schools and think you're going to out party it and survive. You have to learn how to properly split your time between going out and having fun with your friends and, going to class and doing stuff like that. What, Willie?
Chris, to be fair, your state's main export is meth.
I don't know. No, it's actually coal, but
you know what I mean.
There's a difference between what you would see at the university towns versus what you would see in the southern part of the state. The opioid addictions and the meth issues aren't as prevalent in this section of the state as in others. Let's just put it that way. And bear in mind also, it's been almost 20 years since I was a freshman in college, so perhaps my opinion might be a bit dated based off of how the town has changed in 20 years. That's right. I'm old. Almost 20 years since I was a college freshman. And there's a storm about to roll through, so my lighting's all screwed up. Sorry, everyone watching the video.
All of a sudden, yours is looking as dark as mine, with my one light bulb still working. It's turning into ATGN after dark.
Here you go. There's some brightness. Yeah.
That hurts my eyes.
Yeah,
well, then don't complain.
So really what it all comes back to, what I was getting to, is it's a matter of delegating your time appropriately. I had a lot of fun when I was a college freshman. Let's put it that way. But not so much fun that I wasn't going to be able to, continue going to school and continue getting decent enough grades.
It makes me sad I missed the dorm experience at college. I got to go to college, but I was already 26 or something by the time I went. So, living out in town with a friend and then just living on the GI Bill. But yeah, I kind of wish I'd have gone into the dorms.
It's a mixed
been a very
bag.
Different thing.
I lived on a co-ed floor, so you can tell that was entertaining for 18-year-old Chris. But because there was always random weird stuff going on, and I didn't mean to make that sound dirty because that wasn't what I intended there. But
there's girls.
Well, I mean, that was always nice, of course, but men and women acted a little differently in their own homes there on the old dormitory. So it was always a little interesting, that dichotomy. Plus we had, split different bathrooms and stuff like that. And some people didn't like to wait if their bathrooms were full. So you'd be in there and you'd be like, why the hell are you in the men's bathroom? Well, ours is full. I'm like, you don't want to come in here. It's always gross and dirty. Always.
There's at least 3 guys jerking off in there.
Well, there was constantly like pranks and stuff going on in our bathrooms. Like most of it was innocuous, but like it was not unheard of that you'd go in there and you'd close the stall door and you'd turn around and someone would have taken a picture of a Jeff Goldblum from The Fly and like taped it to the back of the door. So as soon as you sit down, it's just Jeff Goldblum staring at you with the big bug eyes. Like that's funny, but also innocuous and not going to do anything to you. The real worst one that happened, because it got one of the cleaning ladies by accident, is these weren't like the toilets you'd have in like public restrooms and stuff. So there's actually like the back tank where you could lift off the lid and get in and adjust the stuff. So people would take the refill hoses and they would pick it up and they would put it just underneath the lid to the tank so that when you hit the flush button, instead of filling up the tank, it would spray you. We all got used to fixing that every time we got in there. But when the cleaning lady came through, she didn't know that was an ongoing gag, so it got her. Felt bad.
Oh, that gag would earn a black eye.
Yeah. I mean, that was the fun thing about the dorms, was just stupid pranks, because we lived in a building called towers. So like you lived in a tower and pretty much all the rooms were on the outer ring of things. But if you were smart, and the one gag that was done, if you were on the opposite end of the hallway, there were 2 doors that faced each other, but it was probably like 50 feet apart. Well, at one point in time, someone got rope and tied those 2 doorknobs together so those 2 doors couldn't open. That was entertaining. Stupid stuff like that. I mean, but then you also had the people that decided to be resident advisors that decided they wanted to flex their so-called authority. And it was just stupid stuff from time to time, because I don't know how it was in other people's dormitories. Ours had quiet hours. So starting at 10 p.m., you were supposed to be quiet, have your door shut, things like that. You could have the door open, but you weren't supposed to be audible noise. I got written up, and this was the stupidest thing, because I was in my buddy's room. His computer was broken, and I was sitting there trying to fix his computer at 10:30 at night. And it was literally just me sitting at his computer with the door open, like, we need to write you up for quiet hours violation. I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody's even talking in here. It's just me sitting at a computer. Well, you have the door open. I was like, and I'm not making any noise.
That screwdriver was way too loud.
No, it wasn't even me in the case. It was me in Windows trying to fix things.
You were clicking the
give
mouse
me
too
a
loud,
RA
sir.
ticket, you get an RA black eye too. I don't care.
It was one of the dumbest things, and I was like, it's not even worth appealing. This is just dumb, and all it's going to do is antagonize the roving RAs to try and get me for something for real, because I was committing real rules violations of, having a mini fridge that was on the non-approved list and things like that.
Oh,
Chris had one of those guilty consciences, like, you know what?
No.
I'll take the beat for this one, because I don't want you to catch me doing what I'm really
Exactly.
doing.
No,
It
I
wasn't.
have to ask. Stop. I have to ask. What do you mean it wasn't an approved mini fridge? What does that mean?
So what I was actually going to explain that. So the way it worked at WVU at that point in time is they had established some racket with this company called Microfridge. And it was the only way you could have a microwave and refrigerator in your dormitory is if you either bought or rented for a year one of the microfridges, which was a mini fridge that had a microwave on top of it. Bringing your own mini fridge was against the rules, because we can't be sure that the electrical system can support all of these other kinds. No, it was bullshit. They were just trying to get money out of us because they made money off of microfridge. So we had an unapproved mini fridge in our closet, because we each had sliding closets that you could lock shut. So we would lock it, and they weren't allowed to open your closet if it was locked unless they had a reason to suspect something. And seeing an electrical cord, an extension cable going underneath the door was not enough of a reason to suspect something, because it could be, I've got charging station in there or something like that for all of my things.
So you had a fridge hid in your closet.
Yeah, we had a fridge in our closet for a while. We didn't care. Because
So
the way the
instead of
RAs
making
worked is they could
sure-
come in your room at any time for room inspections. And we also weren't allowed to have wireless routers. Now, granted, I'm also dating myself. 2003, Wi-Fi wasn't prevalent everywhere like it is now. So they wanted you to plug into the wall. The problem was once you plugged into the wall, there were so many people that had just shit on their computer that, like, my firewall is going crazy. And you could start looking at it and see, okay, this person's trying to get into my computer, this person's trying to get into my computer, and you could trace route the IP, figure out the room they were in the building. So there were a few people that just kept trying, and I literally went and knocked on the door. They wouldn't answer, so I wrote on their whiteboard, "Stop trying to hack my computer. I know who you are." Stuff like that.
Did it stop?
From that room, it did.
Oh,
But that was the other problem, is some people would come in there and they would not know, you should have a firewall running on your computer when you're going to connect to the university network. So there were some people that just had so much of their content stolen because people are like, oh, free music, copy paste, stuff like that. And then there was my one friend who became known as the porn king because his goal was just to steal everyone's porn. Not because he really wanted it, but just to see how much he could find. So he would literally just go through any computer that was exposed to make copies of their porn to see how much he could accumulate.
But back to the fridge thing. Instead of fucking Jesus Christ, this is still blowing my mind. Instead of making sure your dorms had adequate, energy, fucking levels or whatever, this, no. You gotta buy this one type of fridge and microwave. You gotta do that.
Yes.
Fuck you.
And that's exactly what it was. It was basically because they got a cut and they could make some bullshit excuse as for why. So we had a fridge in our closet at one point in time, if I recall correctly. I mean, I didn't care. I wanted to have a Wi-Fi router, but the only way you could have it is if you could hide it away. But they literally went through and scanned for Wi-Fi networks so that they could find them and take them down, because their reasoning why, they couldn't see behind the router to know what you were doing. And I was like, bitch, you can't see behind my computer to know what I'm doing because everything's behind a firewall and I ran a VPN.
So, okay, go ahead and try it. Go ahead and tell me. With this router, go ahead and tell me. Without a router, go ahead and tell me what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need the university knowing what I'm doing on my free time through their internet, so I ran a VPN. Not that I was doing anything bad. It's just they don't need to know that I like to go to... Crap, what was it? The Force.net message boards at that point in time and talk about Star Wars with my friends. They got even worse once we got Wi-Fi, though.
Probably.
I'm sorry, what?
Where did they want to, probably?
Yeah. I don't know how much they actively monitored things, but I did figure out that once I had the VPN up and running, that it got me around a bunch of their filters that slowed things down. Because the other consequence of dorm life is I lived in a tower that was 10 floors tall, and there were 4 towers all grouped to each other. So there were a bunch of students in one place. And once everyone was home for the evening, that's when the internet would slow to a trickle, basically.
Yeah.
I found out that the VPN got me around some of those filters that seemed to slow things down. Fun things like that. I mean, but it was also fun because you could play a bunch of local area network games and stuff like that. So you could have LAN parties on your floor where we were playing Halo on a bunch of Xboxes that were just plugged into the Ethernet jacks on the wall. And it worked just fine. We did find out, and this is one of my favorite stories, and I'll stop reminiscing after this. It was around the time Halo 2 came out. A bunch of us were playing on the 5th floor, and there were some folks on the 6th and 7th floor that wanted to play, and like, we can't find your game. And we figured out that between floor 1 and 5 and 10, they had us on different subnets so that they couldn't actually see us in the local area network. So in order for them to play with us, they got a switch. They had an Ethernet switch, and they ran a cable out the window down into our room so we could plug into a switch down there. And it was just the stupidest thing ever. The only way we could have done it is my one friend was an RA, so his window actually opened more than about 6 inches, because the other windows didn't open more than 6 inches in standard rooms, because you live in a tower and people have mental health crises and issues in school,
especially in college.
Yeah, and you don't want to make it easy for them to hurt themselves potentially. So we had my RA friend open his window so that we could fish that cable in and plug it into our switch so that the folks on the 6th and 7th floor could play Halo 2 multiplayer with us.
I'm going to say that's the dumbest thing possible.
What?
You're not going to make it easy. There's multitudes of easy ways to do that. But no, fuck you. You can't enjoy a nice breeze out your window.
No, well, you could open your window, but only about 6 inches. And it was a window that you opened and it folded in.
Oh, my God. They can go fuck themselves.
Now, Willie, we used to have the window open in my dorm that my buddy and I had. But our problem was our room in Towers was right over top the cafeteria. So by about 10:30, when they started grilling up burgers and deep frying chicken wings in the cafeteria, that's all you could smell in our room if the window was open, was hamburgers and chicken wings.
No. Cafeteria hamburgers and chicken wings, which has a distinctive different
So
smell.
I will give them credit. Their cheeseburgers, not too bad. The chicken wings were so-so, but the real thing in the Towers dormitory was if you had time to go down for breakfast, they had an omelet bar and an omelet station, and they'd make you omelets. Those were good.
Hate eggs.
Well, that's on you. Eggs are delicious.
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
No, I mean, people are allowed to not like what they don't like. That's fine.
I keep trying it every now and then, see if I like it.
But do you use eggs when you bake? Or cook?
No, I purposely go out of my way to not use... Of course I use eggs when I bake!
I didn't know. Some
the
people
same
might
thing.
use egg substitutes or find things where you don't have to use eggs to make them.
Just that's all mixed together, so you don't even really taste it.
I didn't know whether it was
Whole, like,
all eggs or
scrambled
just the
eggs.
taste of eggs that was a problem for you, Willie. It was a legitimate question.
I mean, apparently I make good scrambled eggs, but I don't like the taste of it. Like, just eggs in general. I try it every now and then, so do I like it now? No. That sucks. Let's try again later.
Well, I'm sorry, Willie. I'm sorry that you didn't like the eggs.
The eggs.
Or any eggs.
There we go.
You should go enjoy some eggs, Willie.
Face looks like
Do you like
Eggs
the
are
egg?
good.
Have you tried any like the egg substitutes, or is it more just like a textural thing?
it's the taste.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know. I want to like it. I tried it. No, this tastes bad to me. I want to like it.
That's fair. I was just asking because I was curious as to your feelings on eggs. You have enlightened me, and I thank you.
He looks still pretty dim, so
I haven't got the other light turned on yet because I can't reach it from here.
that was a joke, Chris.
I know, but I was
I
denying
don't
the
care
joke.
about your actual lighting system.
That's right. ATGN 500, we don't go dark, we go dim.
Change that.
Like our intelligence. I mean, what?
Been there.
Well, thank you, everyone, for tolerating my trip down memory lane as I go almost 20 years back in time.
It infuriated me.
Did it? On a
Yes.
scale of 1 to 10, how infuriated are you?
I want to go back in time and smack the dean right across the face.
Dean Pelton?
Sure, yep. I want to smack him. Hey, Dean Belton,
Yeah.
you're a piece
No.
of shit. I'm telling you right
Belt
now.
him.
You're making people not you with the mini fridge shit. Go fuck yourself.
I didn't even. I
That's what I'm
referenced
saying.
Community right there. I wasn't even referencing my own school.
I don't even know, but fuck your dean. That's what I'm saying.
That would have been President Hardesty then that was running the university.
President Hardesty, then you're a piece of shit. I'm saying it right here, right now, for collusion with companies for profit only.
You act like that was the only university to do that. I'm pretty sure Microfridge had a deal with almost every university at that point
the
in
only
time.
one I know of, so it's the only one I can say I can slap. I would slap everyone who did that shit. All y'all motherfuckers are getting slapped. I don't give a shit.
All y'all can catch these hands.
Towers,
Pop, pop.
man, Towers was an interesting place too because we also had garbage chutes there, so that's how you get your trash taken care of. And it was in the laundry
Oh.
room, so it was always a bad smell in there.
No shit.
And then the
Like,
worst
what
is
did
when someone would put something down there on fire, and we'd get the fire alarm turned on. Trash
funny
room
dorm
caught on
story.
fire a few times when I was there. It wasn't me doing it, mind you, but
We're talking about funny dorm stories.
ooh,
A girl I was seeing at HPU, High Point University. Let's just say I was staying the night in her. She had a single dorm room, and let's just say smoke detector started going off for the whole building, and I was like, "What do I do? Because I'm not supposed to be in here. What do I do?"
you
So
die in the
I
fire.
hid
That's
in
what
the
you do.
closet. So I hid in the
You
closet.
hid in the closet.
Till someone started knocking on the door, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" So I just came out saying, "Hey."
I mean, in the
So-
grand scheme of things, I don't think they're unused to people being in the dorms that weren't supposed to be there. Let's put it that way.
Luckily, the person that checked was someone she knew. I never met him before. Yeah, so that was lucky. I was like, "Hey."
Well, I mean, and-
girlfriend at the time. I was staying over a lot.
Did
so-
someone sign you in, or did you sneak in?
Dude, this was like fucking 15 years ago.
I don't know.
man.
I was curious
remember.
because at Towers when I lived there, anyone who came in after 9 p.m. had to be signed in by someone of the same sex, I think is what it was. So the weirdest thing was someone would be like, hey, my girlfriend's coming into town, but I can't sign her in. So they would go to the girls' side of the door and be like, can you sign her in for me? because they didn't want to promote people. I don't know. It was the weirdest shit ever. I was like, who cares? We're all adults.
You want to hear who was the guest speaker at her graduation from High Point University, HPU? I'm calling this shit out. I don't fucking care.
Who was it, Willie? Call it out.
Bill Cosby.
Oh my. Well, there was a time when people didn't realize how bad that was.
Oh yeah, this is before any, of course, obviously before any of that shit came out. Many years before that shit came out. Yeah, and that was surreal.
Good old Bill Cosby.
Yeah, the realness got knighted by King. Let's just go with that. Fuck it.
I'm good with that. We'll go with it.
The surreal.
Got to hear all about the Jill.
Did they give you pudding pops as part of the graduation?
Yes.
Yes.
You really want me to do a joke?
No, I don't.
I
should have known
laced.
I'm sorry, everyone. Willie's not going to do a joke.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet, it's the news of the week.
Everyone can thank me now that we transitioned to the news of the week instead of the Willie joke of the week or whatever bit we would call that, because this is probably a safer topic. But yeah, news of the week. This is that part of the show where we run down in our minds what is some of the most interesting geeky and or nerdy news to have cropped up here in the past week or so. Share with you guys who are watching live or listening at a later date. I'm going to kick things off because why not? That's what I say. So I don't know if you guys were...
kicking.
Sorry, go ahead.
Start kicking.
Oh no, he's going to start
kicking.
So I don't know if you guys were paying attention over the past couple days. There was some Star Wars news that dropped out that's not exactly unexpected, but I'm surprised it took so long. It was about 2 days ago it was published that James Earl Jones said he'll be retiring from the role of Darth Vader. Now, that's not exactly unheard of. James Earl Jones has been playing the role for, 45 years at this point in time? I think he's in his early 90s. And this is not a criticism, an observation, though. Like, if you heard Vader in Star Wars Rebels, if you heard Vader in Rogue One, the voice is not the same as what you heard in 1978 or in the early 80s for Return of the Jedi, things like that, because James Earl Jones has gotten a bit older, so your voice is going to change over time. Now, what you may not have noticed is that James Earl Jones reprised the role also in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sort of. What do I mean by that? Well, there is a company out of Ukraine, and I cannot find their name all of a sudden. Respeecher, that's their name, that uses archival recordings in an AI program to create new dialogue with the voices of performers who have either aged out or passed away. They were able to use that with James Earl Jones' voice archives to do the voice of Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Why I bring this up is, as part of James Earl Jones' retirement, he did sign over the rights to his voice for the character of Darth Vader. So this is something he approved of, said, yes, this is fine. You can continue to use my voice for this character. So now with an AI Respeecher app and his permission and a whole archive of voiceover work he's done, they can continue creating the voice of Darth Vader that we all know and have heard for decades at this point in time. I thought it was an interesting news story, not necessarily the retirement part, but the fact that he said, yes, I'm good with you using my voice, and signed over. What'll be interesting to see, though, is what does that deal entail? Obviously, they can probably keep using his voice for movies or television programs. Does it carry over to video games? Does it carry over to Disney park attractions where Darth Vader would appear? Does it carry over to other random stuff? The terms of the deal I find to be very interesting.
I can answer this.
Go for it, Willie. What do you got?
Because I didn't know you were going to say this till you said it. I was like, you know what this is, right?
What is this?
It's just deepfake for voices.
In essence, yes.
That's all it is.
And this is not the first time it's been used, because in the book of Boba Fett, the same company was used to do Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker voice for when Luke showed up in Book of Boba Fett. They didn't have Mark Hamill come and do voiceover work on set. They used this Respeecher tool and a combination of archival recordings because, again, our voices change over time.
Yeah, but he's a voice artist.
Yeah, that How that and then the CGI on the face of the stunt double. It's like, I don't know. Mark Hamill is a voice actor, and Bucky Barnes exists. Like, we have a guy that looks exactly like Mark Hamill in 1976. Why is he not just playing young Luke Skywalker with no CGI?
That's a separate thread of things that I think that would be ideal to see happen.
Am I missing something?
Yeah, the Winter Soldier.
What about him?
He looks like Mark Hamill.
Have you not seen pictures of what's his name, Stan? Like one of his headshots.
Sebastian
you put it
Stan.
next. Sebastian Stan. Someone found one of his headshots and put it next to Mark Hamill's. I think before his accident, before his nose changed, and it looks like they could be not maybe identical twins, but like fraternal twins. Like they're so close in facial structure,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
They didn't want to pay him though.
Apparently not.
Or maybe the thought is they wanted to have him look the same. I don't know their train of thought. The tech behind it is really cool, though, that they're using to make these things happen. But it gets us to an interesting thought now, is now that we're getting to this point where technology is evolving, where you can train face algorithms to basically recreate an actor long after they're no longer that age, or reuse their voice with certain AI things. What starts happening with all these contracts now? Like, let's say Willie signs a deal with Lucasfilm tomorrow to be one of the main characters in the new Star Wars trilogy they decide to make. As part of that deal, are they also including rights to use your likeness and AI-generated voice in perpetuity? And if so, what does that pay you? Because
if Disney, yes, they are.
I would assume.
Well,
but the thing is, what does that mean for these deals? What does it mean for rights negotiations? What does it mean in regards to what the Screen Actors Guild and the unions and stuff chime in and say? Because having access to your likeness and your voice, let's say 50 years from now, when you obviously don't look like the role you were cast as, and maybe you've passed away, because 50 years is a long time, what does that mean? Does your estate get paid for it? Are you paid a lump sum up front or a recurring fee every time they use your stuff? That's what's going to be very interesting to see, is how these deals get worked going forward. And I haven't seen anything specifically about James Earl Jones' deal that he had with Lucasfilm / Disney, but I'm curious what it ends up that they set in terms for that and what that means for other folks going forward. Because like we know that Carrie Fisher's family gave permission for them to do the CGI version of Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah.
We know that Peter, Grand Moff Tarkin. Sorry? Peter Cushing. Yeah. Peter Cushing's family gave permission for them to CGI recreate Tarkin for Rogue One, because they didn't have those rights, those agreements in place. But now that we can potentially have those agreements in place going forward, what does it mean for the use of this technology? And that's what I think is going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be another 2 pages of every contract that managers, agents, and actors have to deal with, where just like we saw the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit against Disney over streaming rights versus theatrical rights, where if a company decides, oh, hey, this movie that we promised to put out in theaters is coming out on a streaming service, then what happens to the money I was guaranteed? Like, those changes and streaming services are causing changes in contracts. And yeah, we're going to see stuff like likeness rights. Like, people are going to have to be very careful what they're signing away when they get signed. Well, and think about this. Like, you know, it's one thing for Scarlett Johansson when you're an adult and you're doing like your 6th Marvel film. And then they're like, oh, hey, this is supposed to go to theaters. It's not. What if you're someone like Daniel Radcliffe, whose parents are signing a contract when they're 12 years old, and they're going to do 7 movies? What if Warner Brothers owned his likeness in perpetuity for the rest of his life? Like, that's possible of someone being signed to like a child actor contract right now, if their manager or their agents aren't reading their contracts very, very closely.
I've been thinking hard about this, and I had a great idea. If I can get in early in this.
Okay.
Early. Keep with me here. Extras are going to be no longer a thing. Fuck extras. They just fucking take likenesses, just fucking implant them wherever.
Yes
Any
and no.
which way they want.
There's some things where I would think having a physical person on set would make sense to do that. But if you're doing a bunch of stuff on like green screens and things like that, then yeah.
They digitize crowds all the time.
I mean, and even prior to having the CGI effects to do that, go back and look at the original Star Wars movies, like the awards ceremony after the Battle of Yavin in A New Hope. Most of that is like they took pictures of a small group of people and then replicated it onto the film. Like they didn't have all of those people standing in the hall for the award.
Vader's arrival on the Death Star.
Yep.
It's a matte painting.
That was matte painting, yeah.
Yeah. There's only like 10 stormtroopers in that scene. The rest of
What
it's
I'm thinking of
oil
is more
on canvas.
like Getty Images, but for extras.
I mean, they probably have similar stuff like that they use for like footage and stuff like that. So if you're doing predominantly green screen stuff, you could just have that in the background. Or if like...
Well, you know what? Fine, I'll just shut the fuck up.
No. I wasn't saying it was a bad idea. I'm just saying that I think some of that might be there already.
Fine, I'll shut the fuck up then.
Really, I was complimenting you that it was a good idea. I was just saying it was probably already in use.
I'm just saying we had a chance for him to shut the fuck up and you're not letting him.
I do think there is potential for some scary factors here, though, of how this could be used. Is let's put yourselves... I'm going to paint a picture here that it's not exactly accurate to the real world. But let's say this technology existed a decade ago or about the same time they did the casting for Captain America Civil War. And you're Tom Holland, who's got a pretty decent small back catalog of stuff but hasn't become like a mainstream star. You're Tom Holland and you sign your deal with Disney, which is obviously going to be based on the fact at that point in time that you're not a major star in comparison to what you have become now in that time frame or in comparison to other people in the MCU. And if they put these likeness provisions and voice provisions in there on that deal when you're not super famous, you're obviously not going to get paid what those should be worth when your star becomes bigger in Hollywood, say a decade from that time frame. Is there some kind of renegotiation clause in here? Are you only allowed to use footage from a certain time frame to compile those kind of things? These contracts are going to be very interesting to see how they're fleshed out. And my concern, and granted, I'm no Hollywood insider, things like that, is that they could be kind of predatory towards younger, newer, less established people in the hopes of catching them before they become big.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean... Well, we know by the time Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint, by the time they renegotiated to do like the 6th and 7th films, like those kids got paid. They weren't making a ton of money on those first couple of films.
Well, and they also made deals too to film, and them and a bunch of other cast to film like exclusive content for Universal Studios and things like that. So that's the other extension of these kind of things. Like I sort of touched on it with James Earl Jones, but you signed this deal to be in Star Wars or another Disney product that they're going to want to put in the theme park.
No.
If you sign that deal, instead of having you film something when you're 16 years old to play that 16-year-old character, in theory, they could a decade from now be like, oh, well, we're just going to use this respeecher tool and CGI tools to de-age someone to look like you to film things. And if you sign those rights away, that's fine. I mean, that would be the problem now, is if at Universal Studios they wanted to refilm some of the stuff that the Golden Trio did as Harry, Hermione, and Ron, these guys don't look like they did when they filmed that stuff. That's what they're called in the books, Willie.
Yeah. Willie's having trouble with the Potterness of it all.
It's fine. And that's just an example. And sorry, folks, that I used Harry Potter as an example there. It's just what came to mind at first.
Well, I mean, it's probably the most current, most famous child actors that have been around and, been in their roles for a very, very long time. I mean, we also... known as those roles. And for theme park purposes, we also see it with Star Wars too. Like if you go to Galaxy's Edge, they filmed a bunch of stuff with Daisy Ridley and Oscar Isaac and stuff like that to play those characters for those theme park rides. Yeah, because Ray and Poe Dameron both show up in the Rise of the Resistance. So does Finn, I believe, too. So John Boyega's got some stuff too. And then the Kylo Ren doesn't matter because you only see him in the mask, but the redheaded guy, Huxley. General Hux. General Hux. He's in there too. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of actors that their likeness are in that ride. And it's basically straight up film. And they got paid to do that as part of their deals or some other deal on top of that. But I would assume, especially if you're Disney, that becomes part of your standard contracts going forward, which is, hey, we want to do this stuff in theme park. And I'm not an expert. It very well could be they already have writers and they're like, hey, if we decide we want to do stuff for theme parking purposes, we have this clause that we can execute to be like, hey, we're going to have you come in and do this and it pays more. I don't know. But we've seen a bunch of that cross promotion between
Marvel and Disney, where you have like the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, where they film specific stuff on the set of Guardians just for the Guardians ride. We've seen it with Star Wars. We saw it with the Harry Potter stuff years before that. So it's going to be interesting there what precedent this sets. From a technology standpoint, I find it fascinating how this respeecher tool works, but also incredibly scary for how it could be used inappropriately by bad actors.
Oh, I got my money down that pretty soon it'll be Sci-Fi will be the first company that tries to put out a movie with a $5,000 budget that's all done with just deep fake and respeecher. They won't hire anybody.
Sci-Fi doesn't make movies anymore.
Sci-Fi still exists?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean Siffy.
Yeah, but they don't make content anymore.
Exists?
Oh,
it's still a channel?
Someone will bring them the idea and they'll put up $5,000 for it. They're like, oh, we'll spend $5,000 in a movie.
I know it still existed though. It was done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's also
Pretty
some
sure
of the
it's still a
fascinating
thing.
stuff is like deepfakes and stuff. It's kind of a user accessible thing. Like Willie, I know you watched the channel, but at Corridor Crew and the Corridor Digital stuff, like they did a deepfake of Luke Skywalker after Mandalorian season 2 to claim that we did it better than Disney, and then they got smacked around a little bit by Mark Hamill about it, which was kind of funny. But they did a pretty good job for on a week time making their deepfake Mark Hamill. The deepfake technology is interesting for how it could be applied. It's sort of what they've used for Luke going forward, I believe, was a combination of deepfake and some other tech. So the technology is getting better and better and more interesting. Go back, when did Rogue One come out? 6-7 years ago? Might even be more than that. But like the Carrie Fisher deepfake or CGI face there is very artificial looking. Same with, go back to Polar Express when they did Tom Hanks as the digital conductor, and it was oddly terrifying. Like, look at where we are now with the
None of the
CGI.
characters in that movie had any souls.
Yeah, but look at where we are now, how things have progressed. This is the future, and I'm curious what it means for contracts and for the actors going forward. I'm glad James Earl Jones is getting paid, and selfishly, I'm glad they're going to keep using his voice, because with the exception of the guy that played Chad Vader in the web series, most people couldn't get the Darth Vader voice quite like James Earl Jones.
Yeah, there's a bass in that man's voice that just nobody can do.
Yeah. It's super
And
distinctive.
Rogue One was 2016, so 6 years ago.
Then look at where we are now.
Yeah, the Carrie Fisher looked so plasticky, and I think it's because they were trying to mimic, like, you know, as smooth as possible young skin on an actress versus Tarkin, where they're making his face with the crags and the wrinkles and what Cushing looked like at the time, which has a lot more character in it. Where, yeah, they were trying to make her look almost like a porcelain doll, and the effect was you got was a porcelain doll. It didn't look quite like a human because they were trying to make it look too smooth.
And then look what they did just a year ago, less than a year ago, for the Luke Skywalker effect in Book of Boba Fett. It's incredible how far the technology's advanced and changed and morphed. It's a little scary at times too, though.
And it's just going to keep getting better.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. You don't think people are going to misuse this? I'm sure we've already seen people that made examples of how deepfakes could be abused and put it on YouTube that made President Obama say things he never said before and things like that.
No, I got it. You know where this is going to go?
Deepfake porn is what you're about to say.
Porn parodies.
Yeah.
With the actual people's likeness.
Well, no, you can't do that. You would get sued then.
Well, no,
you
can
it's
do
porn.
that.
We can do whatever we want.
I'll say, yeah, you can do that, and then you will get sued.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
We'll put you part of the profits. You'll love it.
God.
Am I wrong?
Depends on how much the actor has been paid and what their other career prospects look like after the fact, whether they would care or not, I would assume.
I mean, listen, porn lookalikes have been a thing. Look at the Sarah Palin one that happened back when that all happened. There was a Sarah Palin lookalike porn actress.
You know what that actress does now? She's a sports radio
idea.
person that talks about fantasy football now.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
She's
why
actually
not?
She's super knowledgeable on fantasy football. She's pretty cool.
Just imagine if you get Wilford Brimley in your porno you're watching.
Why do you go to Wilford
Why would
Brimley?
you want Wilford Brimley?
I got diabetes.
God damn it, Willie.
I didn't know it was going there when I said Wilford Brimley, but it got there.
Oh.
That had to be pushed.
What was wrong with me?
It was bad. It was very
Well, Willie, I'm afraid of what you're going to say next, so I'm not going to you for news. Bachman, what do you got for us?
I got something that'll make everybody smile. So we got an awesome.
Don't say
new,
Wilfred Brimley, please.
It's not Wilfred
smiling
Brimley.
already.
So from an article over on Slash Film, talk about the new by Valerie Edenhofer, put out September 24th. You have a viral marketing campaign for Smile photobombing baseball games and the Today Show. Let's see. Yeah, this article is pretty good. Yeah, so creative marketing is the best. There's nothing like going about your day and suddenly noticing that gas costs 34 cents because the Wonder Years is back, or that all your favorite actors suddenly have red balloons in their Instagram posts. And then, since moving to LA, all of a sudden, there's always a different, this thing's happening, that thing's happening, blah, blah, blah. That was Smile, the Paramount horror flick set for theaters released this week. The marketing team behind the film is going all out this weekend with a campaign that seems to involve a website, a hotline, and most notably, a bunch of creepy, smiling audience plants that are at once hilarious and unnerving. And so, yeah, they got one from at JohnBoy Media, where behind the camera that's over the shoulder of the pitcher at a baseball game, it was Oakland A's and New York Mets, and the security guard had to approach a woman who was smiling unnervingly and wearing a yellow shirt emblazoned with the word "smile" and asking her to sit down because where she was standing was right over the pitcher. So the word "smile" and just big text was right across the front of her shirt. And it's solid marketing. Apparently, they also did it on the Today Show, and they've got just random plants throughout other baseball games. It says they were spotted at a Yankees game, a Dodgers game, background Today Show. In the latter shot, a smiler can be spotted staring daggers just over weatherman Al Roker's shoulder. So yeah, it's just a bunch of people just standing around smiling creepily, and then they've got it attached to a website called smilesightings.com. The sighting allows users to report smiles that they spot out in the world, or upload photos of themselves or their friends using the Smile Snapchat filter, which makes your face have a creepy, almost Joker level smile. And it has the URL for it, or the phone number for it. If you see a smile, call this number. And the site informs visitors, and calling the number leads to a recorded message. All this hype is an impressive way to draw attention to Parker Finn's feature directorial debut, which centers around a seemingly contagious phenomenon that leaves witnesses seeing uncanny smiles everywhere before inevitably meeting a grisly fate. Stassi Bacon, Kyle Garner, Caitlin Stacy star in the film, which just premiered at Fantastic Fest. That's Slash Films Jacob Hall reviewed it and said it's the epitome of a pretty good horror movie, the horror movie that doesn't reach for the sky but instead chooses to fill the room. And then Chris Evangelista's review said it was at some parts truly unnerving, but points out how it heavily relies on familiar tropes. So it looks like they're doing some cool stuff trying to promote a film that may otherwise go under the radar. And yeah, I went to that the Smile website, and it keeps flickering between the repost this smile and then what I think is one of the main actresses in the film smiling at the camera, and then it jumps really close to you. So it's like that Ring thing where the character jumps at you. It is really freaky looking. And then if you scroll down and look at all the Instagram posts of people smiling, it's super unnerving to just see all these weird people with their faces slightly digitally altered. It's just, yeah, it's creepy. It's super creepy.
The baseball part where they would tell them to sit down?
Yeah, so the girl was standing up in the front row. So if you're looking, so the camera's behind the pitcher, and you're looking at the advertising that they always sell right there behind where the batter is in the batter's box. She's standing up in the front row right there in a bright neon green shirt and just standing there dead still staring at the pitcher. And I think she was actually freaking people out. And so the security guard just asked her to sit down.
That baseball pitcher gets paid how many millions to throw a goddamn ball? I don't give a damn if it's fucking raining. You throw that fucking ball.
No. That hobby can't deal with rain or any other type of weather.
Oh, I know.
So yeah, that's why it's overpaid hobbyists.
Oh my god, why are athletes some of them?
Who's
look at all the soccer.
Hold on. We don't even know that it's the athletes that complained. It very well could be.
I know.
It could be Major League Baseball that was like, hey, you're not going to use our platform to promote your stuff when we don't get a cut. Now,
Yep, no, I think that's what it was.
I paid a ticket to be here, or a ticket was paid for me to be here.
yeah, but what's in the fine print of that ticket? Where they reserve the rights to remove you for
baseball games.
Any sporting
I'm so
event.
shocked on baseball players, athletes.
Yeah.
I don't go to sporting events.
But Willie, what I'm saying is anything you buy a ticket for has fine print on it, whether you pay attention or not, that describes what you are and aren't allowed to do, what they can and can't remove you for, and things like that. So it's entirely possible that that's what happens.
I bet you MLB owns the new advertising rights.
I lick it and I flick it.
Okay.
For the audio listeners, I licked my hand and flipped them the bird. Not them, but the metaphorical them.
The metaphorical.
I mean, I don't disagree with your thought process there, but what I'm saying is that's still how it works.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, they can go fuck themselves. I don't care.
I mean, that's nice also fair.
It's a nice bit of creepy marketing, like viral campaign marketing. And, it looked like, if it's popping up in MLB games, it's popping up on the Today Show. Like, it's going to get some eyes on that film, which the film looks really good. The trailer I've seen looks really fantastic. So after the not so fantastic horror film I watched last night, I'm looking forward to another good horror movie.
Yeah, it sounds like a viral ARG game, kind of.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean,
you had to call a number, didn't you?
Viral marketing's cool, guys. Like, remember how odd it seemed like when The Dark Knight was coming out and there was all the stuff with like, hey, here's these weird marked up dollar bills people are finding and like fake stuff, fake spray painted on the sidewalks outside Comic-Con. There was some cool marketing going on then, and it's kind of interesting to see how it's shifted and evolved to today.
I like what they're doing with what's her name, Jamil, the one that's playing Titania on She-Hulk.
Yeah,
they've had her go out in character and spray paint over actual Marvel paid for ads for She-Hulk. Like, that's hilarious.
So if we're going to talk about viral marketing, let's talk about the darkest one of the guerrilla marketing. You guys remember the Moon Knight scandal, don't you?
Yes, we've talked about the Moon Knight one on here before.
Yeah. That's some good guerrilla viral marketing right there.
That one backfired a little bit. I still remember seeing that and be like, that's a Moon Knight. What are they talking about that they think it's a bomb?
I hope you can see this. I'm doing it as hard as I can. Get the gun.
Isn't there a new Aqua Teen something coming out now? I thought I'd seen something.
What I hear. I remember when Adult Swim showed the entirety of Aqua Teen Hunger Force : film for theaters in the lower part of the screen.
Wasn't that
like
great?
A 1 by 1 inch, depending upon the size of the TV.
Where everyone was like, there's no way they're actually going to show this movie. And a bunch of people tuned in, and there was an Aqua Teen marathon with that in the corner, and everyone was like, son of a bitch.
Sound.
Those crazy bastards. They did it.
This picture in the picture is kind of, I can't change it. I want to change it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I love that movie, though. It's so weird and trippy.
I still haven't seen it. I still want to.
I've got it on Vudu, I think. I ended up seeing it locally. We used to have a theater that was that would show like the independent or smaller films and things like that because it wasn't one of the chain ones, but sadly it closed like 10, 15 years ago. They used to also do Rocky Horror Night once a month too, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah, there's one that does it here too.
Rocky Horror Nights are a blast. If you haven't gone, I recommend it.
Greensboro, off Battleground. Free advertisement for you guys.
Have you gone?
Anyone's listening in Greensboro, that's where it is.
Have you gone to one of the Rocky Horror Nights?
I helped the Shadow cast before.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I was asking a question. So that's a yes.
Yes.
All right, Willie, you're up next. What do you got for us for news?
Oh, shit. I got news? Oh.
I mean, you don't have to have news.
But I got news. Do I say it anyway? I don't know. Do I just ignore you and just say move on? I don't know what to do. What do I do?
You do whatever you want, Willie, because you're getting...
Don't tell him he can do whatever he wants.
I'm going to start jerking off right here, right now, then.
All right. We're going to go to a different camera so no one can see Willie right now.
Someone's floundering.
No,
all right,
you got me all flustered, Willie.
Let's go on. So last week, RGG Studios, and as I'm sorry to butcher
Did you just go NPR voice on us?
A little bit. Is it bad? Should I not do it?
You do you, man.
RGG Studios, also known as, and I'm sorry about the pronunciation once again, Ryo Gatoku? I never get that right, that last word right. Never get it. But that's the studio that makes Yakuza and the Judgment and Lost Judgment games. They've also made some other spin-off titles, but they're mostly known for the Yakuza series in America. Or in Japan, it's not called Yakuza, it's called Ryoga Gotoku. I cannot get that last word, man. I'm so sorry. But it translates to Like a Dragon. So, the studio is named Like a Dragon. The game series in Japan is called Like a Dragon. For some reason in America, the last game to come out was Yakuza Like a Dragon. So in Japan, I'm guessing it was Like a Dragon, Like a Dragon. I think that makes sense in your head. But last week, they announced 3 new games. One of them being the first one they showed, which was it's going to be called Like a Dragon Ishin, which is a remade from the ground up title based in Japan, like in the late 1800s. I think it's, if I'm remembering correctly, it's the late 1800s. Is based on historical kind of events. They are, of course, exaggerating in the game from what I've seen, but the events in the game, like the main storyline, did happen apparently. Pretty much you're following uses characters from the Yakuza games and implanting them as these historical characters, and it works. It takes place in the late 1800s, at the end of the Bakumatsu period, before the Meiji era. I am going to butcher pronunciations. I'm sorry. I wish I could get all these all the time. At the time of conflict, the guy who is the main person of Yakuza, Kiryu, he's going to take the role of Ryoma Sakamoto. Sakamoto? That sounds right. Yep, a historical samurai who was instrumental in the defeat of Tokugawa. The trailer showed off some new stuff, but this is pretty much a game that a lot of people who are fans of the Yakuza series were, hey, we want it localized. Localize it. Bring it here as a PS3 game. Like, localize it here. They never did. But now they're building it from the ground up, and it's going to be localized. I think only in subtitled, no dub, from what I think, from what I hear. So that's at least good news, and it looks pretty damn good. But also, they also announced, apparently, I haven't got to there yet, but Yakuza 6, something happens, and Kiryu has to fade into the background, so to say, a little metaphor. So the second game, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man, why is it only showing me part of it? Why do these titles do this?
Because they hate you and just want to make you suffer.
Why is it not showing me the full title?
Because you chose a
wrong
poor
with you?
news site.
You're not wrong.
A poor news site.
Yeah, the man who gave up his name. It just says the man, and it's not telling me the rest. Why are you doing this?
To spite you.
It is. It is a side story. To kind of go with it. Like, it's the. Not gonna click on it. I'm not gonna click on it. Go. Fuck you. But also, so apparently it takes place after the last main Yakuza 6. Oh my god, they fucked these titles up, so it's a little hard. The last one, Yakuza Like a Dragon, is Yakuza 7. For some reason in America, they took out the 7. Why they did it, I don't know why, but it's Yakuza 7. Let's just call it that. So between 6 and 7, something happens to Kiryu. I haven't got the 6, so I don't know what happens at the end of it, but he has to disappear, for all I know. But because I played 7, and 7 he comes back and he's not supposed to be there, this is supposed to show what was he doing in there. So instead of Kiryu, he's Joryu. He changed 2 letters of his name and figured that's good enough. From what I give the trailer. Other than that, I'm not sure what it is. I don't know how it plays. The trailer doesn't really show off a lot. But for the last and third game they announced was Like a Dragon 8. And apparently it confirms the full return of Kiryu as a playable protagonist. And he also looks emo and gray-haired. I don't know if he dyed his hair, because the character does age in real time as the games come out. That's kind of weird. I don't know if that's supposed to just be him going to gray hair, or is he dyeing his hair? It looks like it's dyed. I don't know. It's fucking video games. You make whatever the fuck you want, right?
True.
But, and also, as a little side announcement for all these, Yakuza series from now on in the West, in the West will forever now be known as Like a Dragon. There will be no more of this Yakuza business. It's just going to be called Like a Dragon. I can see why, because I don't really think they're going to stick with the Yakuza going into the next game as a thing. So it makes sense. And if you guys still have not played any of these games, what is wrong with you? I just watched a friend of mine play Yakuza 0 for the first time. When she got to the fucking the Goro Majima introduction cutscene. Oh my god, everyone was loving it. Oh, so good. Cheering, no jeering, clapping, applause, orgasms happening all at once.
I mean, I'm in the middle of playing, Uncharted 2, but I guess I could stop that and go play Yakuza if that's...
Do it.
I'm trying to build it up for everyone else, Bachman.
Mm-hmm.
Be a little bitch about it. You go be a little bitch about it.
No, go do it.
Just saying, your dad's a supervillain, you try to hide in their part of the world, and you change your name from Shang to Sean.
Oh yeah, they did do that joke in there, didn't they?
he changed his name by 2 letters.
I haven't seen the Ten Rings Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious.
It's theaters. So yeah. that's
I love that joke. Change your name from Shang to Sean. Really? So I was 14.
Yeah, a 14-year-old can still come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
What were you, 5?
Been able to.
Sounds like you're 5. No, if he was 5, his new name would probably be Frankenstein or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you just steal that from Big Daddy?
I did.
Yeah, I thought so.
Welcome.
That deep pull there.
Willie can wipe his own ass.
It's like a 20-year-old movie.
You don't know that.
That's true. Nobody knows that.
You don't know if I can wipe my own ass.
I actually like that movie a lot.
It's not a bad movie. It's funny.
So Willie, are you going to be buying these games as soon as they come out? Is that your plan? Or are you going to be waiting until they hit the PlayStation version of Game Pass or whatever they're calling it?
The Yakuza. Oh, wait. Hold on. Nix that. The Like a Dragon series.
Yes.
Has quickly become my favorite game series of all time.
We're aware. That's why I was bringing that up, because I know how much you enjoy it.
And I haven't played all of them yet. I'm on my 5th. I'm on my 5th one.
You got a lot.
And then I still got spin-offs to go. I don't know if I'll get these day one, because if I'm still going through stuff, I got stuff to go through. I got Yakuza 3 to finish. Then I got Yakuza 4 to do. Then I got Yakuza 5. Then I got Yakuza 6. And then I got Judgment. And then I got Lost Judgment.
That seems like a lot of Yakuza.
That's a lot of Yakuza.
Judgment and Lost Judgment are spin-off games set in the same kind of area that the Kamurocho, which is a made-up fictional area in Tokyo. It is based on like a real part, but it is completely fictionalized for this game. And there's also other parts, because every game you go to another part of Japan, like a new city, I think. Because this one, then Yakuza 3, there's also another side map called where you're in Okinawa. So that's good. It looks nice, too. I'm assuming there's another in 4 that I don't know about, and 5 and 6 as well.
Probably.
Hell, 5 didn't even get localized till they had the remastered collection for the PS4, I think. It was PS3. I don't know. I just feel terrible that I didn't know about these games till, about a year and a half ago. And I finally, or 2 years ago, actually, I think. And then finally enjoyed them. Highly recommended. Do it. After Uncharted.
All right.
I'm surprised Willie didn't.
Write it down. playing Yakuza. And Chris, you can, because I'm sure they're on the Game Pass, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Most of them. I don't know if all of them are anymore.
Then fucking do it!
Okay, I've been playing Yakuza Like a Dragon. I just hit a pause point.
Your pause point makes no sense.
Okay.
What are you stuck at? Not enough money? Do the
Yeah.
business mini game. You get so much fucking money with that.
The business mini game made my head hurt, so I stopped doing it.
It's mindless. What do you
Okay.
mean?
What I just said, that it made my head hurt, so I stopped
You don't
doing
even
it.
have to manage it. You just get to do the things and just get them right there, and all you do is boop, boop. just
Evidently,
skip
I
over
stuttered or something
everything
because
else.
I wasn't clear. Willie, no one can hear you when you just mouth words.
I said just fucking do it.
Okay, then. Thank you. Willie's giving me a dirty look for everyone on the audio version of the show.
Oh no, that was my RBF. Sorry. Let me.
Rusting
No,
bastard
it's a dirty
face?
look. No, it's still bitch.
I thought you were just going to be a bastard.
Hang on, let me take this time to just say, everyone, I use the word bitch in the genderless sense, so everyone can be a fucking bitch. You especially.
Cool.
No, that wasn't you. That was you. For the audio listeners, I'm looking at Bachman. Out the side of the screen. Where I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
Cool. Thank you for that.
I'll just keep ignoring him.
I mean, you get used to it after a while.
It's true.
Willie, you okay there?
Surrounded by bitches.
Did they give any release dates? Any planned release dates for those?
Yes, they did. The Yakuza 8 sometime in 2024. I'm sorry, Like a Dragon 8. It's going to take some time, man. The Gaiden will arrive sometime in 2023. And apparently Ishin is coming out. This website fucked up the date. I'm sure it's February 21st, 2023, but it says 2022, which has already been passed and happened. What? This is the website this is the only website that had all the information too. Jesus Christ.
Sounds like you need to find a better source.
You're not wrong. But yeah, Like a Dragon. You're fucking. If you follow RGG Studios and you like them, you're in for a good time. 3 games got fucking thing. Oh my god! If they bring that zombie game, which I hear is not that good, I'll probably try that too. There was a Yakuza zombie game. Had a whole funny scene where Goro Majima, the best character, is sitting in his fucking high-rise apartment watching a zombie movie. He's all of a sudden the zombies burst in his fucking door. And he's looking at TV, looking back at the zombies. Look back at TV, looking back at zombies. Like, wow, they really do look fucking fake in this.
Nice.
And then he starts fighting zombies.
Okay, that's funny.
That was pretty good.
Well, Willie, we look forward to your informal reviews of these upcoming Like a Dragon games because we assume you'll be getting them based off of your deep liking of the franchise. Is that the best way of putting it? You effing love the franchise. That's what I'm saying.
Put it in a dirtier way to say.
No, don't make it dirty.
If I could
No.
put my love for the Like a Dragon series into a song title, it would be Closer by 9 Inch Nails. No, you know.
That was a bit much.
I expected it to be worse, to be honest, so...
Oh, you want me to sing the
No.
lyrics from there?
No.
Nope.
No.
So one time during third shift, when I was a grocery store clerk, I was playing, like, I had like a little MP3 player. I was just putting to the intercom system and put a rubber band over the little button and putting that speaker to it. And I was just playing my own music over the thing. Because fuck that music. And then, I usually kept it clean, for when people, because customers come in, I'm keeping it clean. And I had a suggestion for Closer from 9 Inch Nails. And I was like, sure, I'll put that in, whatever. I'll put it. I've never heard of it, whatever. I know I've heard the name 9 Inch Nails, wasn't really a fan of the time. Let's just put it on there. until it came on the fucking intercom, and I had to rush over to it and stop that shit. I was like, oh, geez, you want to do what like an animal?
Yeah, that's not work appropriate right there.
Yeah, that certainly is not.
No one complained to my bosses.
Well, that's good at least.
How many
Wait for the
people
next
were there
day.
at that point in time?
I don't even remember. I know there was some customer, at least one customer, at least. More, I think there was at least, I think there might have been a second one. I don't remember. This is fucking years ago, man. This is a decade ago. Over a decade ago. So you figure it out.
I'm glad you didn't get in trouble.
Oh, I did some things I should have got in trouble at that point.
Does that surprise me one bit?
There was one time my friends were just coming to hang out, and they were kind of drinking, and of course the one guy had to be an asshole and park in 4 spots. Yes, I know it's fucking third shift. They didn't park in like the front 4 spots, but not only that, they were also, one of them was driving around the Mart cart, and I was like, Jesus, fire me. I don't mind the company, but he at least and they were drinking, and then they were drinking inside the store after they bought it. There was an undercover cop.
So for third shift, you're basically just restocking shelves and dealing with any customers that might be there.
Oh no, I was a cashier.
Okay.
There was also stockers. I was pretty much, I was doing third shift to give the normal third shift person their weekend.
Gotcha.
So that's what I was doing.
I imagine third shift is when you see some pretty weird stuff.
I have some stories. If you want me to tell some stories now, I can do it. Or you want me to say
It sounds like a future segment. Tales from Willie's third shift or something like that.
I can tell you the most important time where people were rushing in. That was about 1:55 in the AM.
So after the bars are closing?
No,
Blue laws.
right. You can grab, booze right before they stop selling it.
Gotcha.
Blue laws. Fucking Bible Belt. You gotta love it. Why can't you buy alcohol after 2 a.m.? I don't know. Can anyone give me a justifiable reason?
No.
No. So it should be a fucking law then.
We'll stand by for a future segment of Tales from a Third Shift Willie, or whatever we decide to call it.
Tales from
Sounds
the
like
Willie
a
Mart.
porno.
That wasn't my intent, but I'm not exactly displeased by that.
Tales from a Third Shift Willie. See, when you say it like this, it works, right?
Oh, yes, I guess so. All right, friends. That wraps up our news of the week. How we'll wrap up the show now, as we're getting close to the end, is we have a little segment called What I'm Into. It's when we share with you guys the geeky and nerdy things we've been getting into, because, hey, you guys may want to check it out yourselves. And I'm going to kick things off because I do what I do. Things I've been getting into. I watched the first 2 episodes of the new anime on Netflix of Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Ties in with Cyberpunk 2077. And it was perfect timing for them because they released the latest patch that was the Edge Runners patch that pretty much gives you a bunch of the things you see in that anime to go into the game. And it's been very interesting to see that after that patch came out and the anime came out, Cyberpunk became one of the most played games on Steam. So something's working right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that new pack update, is it only for PC and the current gen, not the last gen?
This is the last update for all systems. And
okay.
The updates going forward will be for PC and PS5/Xbox Series lines going forward. So
that's why I thought so.
Yeah, it kind of gave Cyberpunk 2077 a resurgence. I'm looking forward to picking it up and playing it myself again. And side note, if you're someone who's been thinking about it, I think it's on sale for $10 right now on Amazon and a few other places. So $10 for a copy of Cyberpunk 2077, it's not bad. I would have paid $10 for it in the version it was when I first played it. I don't actually think I felt that ripped off, to be honest, with the bugs that were there when I first played it, but the game has changed a lot. They've rebalanced things, they've given new specs into things, and I'm really intrigued to play it with the new Edge Runner stuff folded in, because I've watched some YouTube videos of people making David Martinez builds, and it looks pretty freaking fun.
I'm not gonna lie, I think the bugs and stuff were kind of overblown, because
yes, I agree.
I didn't have that many problems with it.
And you played on a base PS4 or a PS4
No,
Pro, excuse me.
There it is.
Yeah,
but I mean, even still, like, there was sometimes a problem, but it wasn't like that big, like, so.
And I will say I played on an Xbox Series X, and I had one issue where the game actually locked and crashed, and then the rest of it was just some weird glitches. The most annoying glitch, though, which I could never make go away, is you've got that quest where you're trying to fix Delamine, the AI that controls the cabs throughout the city, and something got glitched up as I was doing that, so that all of my phone calls that came through had that same glitch effect on the caller ID picture when people would be talking that Delamine had. So I could never get that to revert back to normal after that. But that was really the only major
resetting.
Sorry?
Even a resetting of the game didn't do that?
No. It was something that happened that impacted my save game from that point forward. And it was not enough for me to be like, I'm going to go undo hours of progress to get the caller ID picture to look right on my game. It might be fixed now. I honestly haven't gone back and put a ton of time into Cyberpunk, but I may do it now. I had started a new playthrough a while back, and now I'm kind of curious to see how well it would work doing an Edge Runner build similar to David from the anime. The anime, I'm only 2 episodes in. I'm not a huge anime guy, but I've really enjoyed it. The animation style is really interesting, really fun.
I was wondering what you were saying, like, the David build. I was like, who the fuck is David?
David is the main character from the Edge Runners anime that's out.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You got me. You got me.
That makes a little more sense. Yeah, I was like, who is it? Who are we building?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't make that very clear, but
still playing it.
I've only gotten to the second episode, so David hasn't gotten like all of the cyber augments he's going to get. But basically, the whole premise of the build based off of David Martinez is you build up your reflexes and stuff as much as you can, so that basically when you trigger your mods, it basically freezes time for about 15 seconds. And then if you spec it appropriately, it takes 2 seconds to recharge your mods to do that. So basically you can just spam freezing time all the time because your reflexes are so high where people can't really shoot you because they have a 2-second gap to do it. And then you can also and then you can also unlock things that's every time you kill an enemy, you get 10% of your health back. So if you can effectively freeze time, run around and beat the shit out of people by punching them, you're almost invulnerable. And then there's also things where you can get like a second heart augment, so that if you flatline and die, it automatically shocks you, brings you back to life, and then has X amount of time for it to recharge before you can use that trait again. So you can almost make yourself unkillable by your ability with reflexes to freeze time effectively. It's a pretty cool build. I'm intrigued to play it. My build when I played the last time was a hybrid gun runner, and then just because they were cool, there's this thing called mantis blades, where blades fold out of your forearms like a praying mantis, and it's pretty fucking sweet.
I remember the first trailer, they had that woman just...
Yeah.
And then there's the statue that came with like the super premium versions.
Yeah. My V had flaming mantis blades the last time I played it through, which was really cool. So like you pop the blades out and they're just like smoking and on fire.
Is a melee build really that good? Because I just want to have gorilla arms and punch the fuck out of people.
I mean, that's effectively what you want with the David Martinez build, is a melee build with the reflexes built up too. Other stuff I've been getting into. There was a new show on Hulu that I watched the first episode and started the second one, but I had to go and do something else. It's called Reboot, and the whole premise is from the creator of Modern Family, I guess. It's got like Keegan-Michael Key, a whole bunch of other folks in it. And the whole premise is there's this sitcom from like 2002, and this woman decides she wants to reboot it, but make it edgier or different and things like that. So it's bringing back the original cast, which has got like Johnny Knoxville in it and things like that. And it's pretty damn funny. I've enjoyed what I watched of it so far. Paul Reiser's in it, which...
I hate the name already.
I mean, it's literally a reboot of like, think like Step by Step, and they want to reboot that is what it is.
It's a show called Reboot?
Yes.
With Bob, Enzo?
Yes, it's not that reboot. I thought that at first too when I saw an ad. I was like, what?
The reboot was terrible too for Netflix. Why'd you do that, Netflix? You did...
Other stuff I got into, they were running a sale because I think they're closing them out because they're about to introduce new ones, but they have the expansion memory cards for the Xbox Series devices. I was able to pick up a 512 gigabyte one for like $70 or whatever, so I got that to plug into the back of my Xbox, because for Xbox Series devices, the only way to play your Series X or S optimized games is either on the internal hard drive or one of the memory cards, so that gave me more space for storing Series X optimized.
Why did they not learn the lesson from the... You do not have proprietary storage. You don't fucking do
We've had
that.
this conversation before.
I know.
No one wants us to rehash it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count because I'm no.
Two other things. Deathloop came out on Xbox. It had been exclusive to PS5.
Oh yeah.
It's now out on Xbox as part of Game Pass. I didn't have a chance to play it, but I did have a chance to go on there and download it. And ironically, downloaded it to the new memory card that I had bought. So I'm hoping to get a chance to play that this afternoon. I've heard there's some weird bugs and whatnot that have popped up on the Xbox Series devices. This is an exclusive, well, not exclusive. This is a game on Xbox that is, let me phrase it this way, exclusive native locally to your Series devices, but if you have an Xbox One and want to play it, you can cloud stream it to your Xbox. It will not run on Xbox One hardware, but you can cloud stream it to your Xbox if you don't have an Xbox Series device, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is cool. I'll do.
Yeah. And because effectively what's in the data centers for cloud streaming is Xbox Series X's. So it's rendering all the stuff there and pushing it down. I have, like I mentioned before, done cloud streaming locally to my Xbox with no issues. And then the last thing, I'm continuing to play Cult of the Lamb on my Nintendo Switch because it's a game that I can pick up, play for 20 minutes, and then put down with no issue, because to do a dungeon crawl takes about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you've got time to do a sermon to your flock and to clean up and plant new crops and stuff like that. So it's a perfect, I've only got a little bit of time to play a game today, so pick it up, play around, and then set it back down. I'm having fun with it. I put it on my Switch on purpose because that was the device that's easiest for me to use amongst other things, but it is available on Xbox, PC, PlayStation, Switch, and there's probably something I'm forgetting that it's also on. It's fun. Supposedly there's some new patches coming to fix some bugs that people have said are in there. I haven't run into any bugs myself, other than one time the game froze, but it recovered fine when I restarted it. So that's what I've been getting into. Nothing too crazy. Mr. Willie D. Nelson, what you been getting into, friend?
Ooh. So for a lot of this week, since I got the the PlayStation Premium, which is equivalent to the Game Pass, same idea. I've just been trying a lot of random shit. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of random shit.
That's the best part about a service like that, is it's a game you may not have considered, and you just be like, okay, I'll try this.
Yeah, so I played through a bunch. What did I play through? I tried playing. Went back to a game they have on there from the PS3, Planet Mini Golf. I played that for about 10 minutes and had my fun. Got the nostalgia kick because me and my roommate used to play that back over 10 years ago, probably ago. Played the hell out of that. Also started playing Resistance 3, which if you remember the Resistance games back on the PS3, they were fun.
They were.
Only played the second one, and then so I started playing the third one. Just trying it out. And also played some Batman Arkham Origins because it's on there. I remember playing that a little bit, and yeah, it's fun. With PS3 games, you can only stream. You cannot download. Only stream. And
have you run into any issues with your streaming of those games?
With this fiber internet? Hell no.
Okay. That's what I was curious. Have you noticed any issues where it seems like your button pushes aren't registering as fast as they should or anything like that?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Just some of the graphics, but it is a PS3 game, so I think it might be part of it.
I noticed, at least in regards to Xbox stuff at similar times, when there was a network issue of some kind, I wouldn't lose connectivity to the game, but if you notice, like, the graphics drop for a few seconds and before it can ramp itself back up, but the gameplay still runs as you expect?
Yeah, the gameplay has been perfect. Haven't had any issues with the gameplay, although I attest that to the fiber internet.
Gotcha. That's probably what it is, because as long as you got enough bandwidth, that stuff's probably going to be fine.
That upload speed, I think, is the key. Their upload speed better be too, goddammit. Yeah, it's a bunch of random games. Warlords, which was a PS3 game, wasn't it? Been a bunch of random games. Nothing really has been sticking. Like the last time I did was something called Little Big Workshop. It was like a management game where you're building things and selling them. It was fun. I beat it in like a week, within a week, and it was fun. I want more games like that. Other than that, I'm still playing through Everybody's Golf. Still love Everybody's Golf, and also Golf with Your Friends, which is like a mini golf type. Friends. the three modifications we always put on just to make the game more fun is we put on collisions, put on power-ups, because there's different power-ups in the game, and also jumping. So you can jump, you press X to make your ball jump in the air. As long as your ball's moving, you can jump.
Nice.
That's all I thought. Having a ball.
I'm glad you're still playing that because it sounds interesting to me.
Still, I've got Golf with Your Friends the day it was available on PlayStation 4. I was years ago, I think. But in Everybody's Golf, I got that too when it came out, like 5 years ago.
Look, some of these golf games are just surprisingly fun. Like Golf Story on the Switch, still one of my favorite Switch games, and it was just a random eShop buy that I read some reviews on and started playing it, and it's fantastic. I love it.
And just like a Dragon, it was also called something different here West until the last game. They said, fuck it, we're just calling it by what we call it everywhere else. Everybody's Golf is what it's called in Japan, and I think Europe. But here in the States, you would know it as Hot Shots Golf, which is an arcadey golf game.
You had me at arcadey.
I fucking love the arcadiness. It doesn't use like the PGA games where you have to use the stick to pull back and then push forward, keep it straight. Doesn't use any of that. What it does use is the old classic 3-point system. Press X once to start the power meter. Press X again to set the power, and it starts coming back. You have to press it X again for the impact, for how straight it goes. And it's so fucking good.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and my character, I think, is looking magnifique. Other than that, watched a friend of mine play that Disney Animal Crossing like game. I forget what it's called.
I've heard mixed things on that one.
It just looks like Animal Crossing. You know what? No Darkwing Duck, no deal is what I always say.
There's some merit to that, but I can see where an Animal Crossing or a Disney game set like an Animal Crossing kind of game could be fun for folks, but just play Animal Crossing. I guess this is multi-platform though, isn't it?
Hopefully this will be better than Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is... They put zero effort in it, and it showed. Well, not zero effort, but they could have done... There's so much little updates, just the teeniest little bits of updates. Just do more, Nintendo. Do better. Make your game fun. I don't want to, okay, I've done 10 minutes of stuff in this game. I guess I can't touch it for another week, till something happens. I know I'm exaggerating, but still, you get my point.
Look, I think that my like of Animal Crossing would have been very different had we not been in the middle of the pandemic at the beginning of the pandemic when it came out. Because with all the lockdowns and stuff like that in place, I put a lot of time in Animal Crossing, and I put a lot of time into going to other people's islands to do stuff. Sorry?
You got to do nothing. There was a whole lot of nothing. Sure, you can talk to your villagers.
That's what Animal Crossing is a whole lot of nothing.
Over and over again for the whole day, it seemed like. And then you interacted with them, and they didn't really do anything. Said, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, peace."
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
Small talk.
But it scratched that itch I had for doing stuff like that, and it allowed me to socialize with folks because everyone's like, "Hey, let's go to Person X's island to do this. Let's do this.
And
let's do that."
What?
Well, we went to Naki's a few times when they were shooting stars to collect stardust and things like that.
I know, but you weren't really doing that with them. Most time, here, I'll just leave my system on. You come in, do the special thing that's only going on my thing right now.
I mean, I don't dispute that.
Around.
I'm not saying it's like a great game or anything like that, but it scratched an itch that I had at that point in time, and I enjoyed it. I haven't picked it up in probably a year at this point in time.
Could have been better, is all.
I don't disagree.
So much better. But, yeah, I also found another game that's kind of like Animal Crossing, but it's called My Time at Portia. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. It was a better Animal Crossing game than Animal Crossing. There's so much to do. There's a day-night cycle in it that's not congruent to your day-night cycle in real life. And it just kind of worked better. So there's always something to do. There's not a time where well, I'm just sitting here doing nothing because I got to wait till tomorrow for something to happen. Nope, you just go. Go and do it. and continuing watching Kids in the Hall and Fly the Concorde. Still enjoying them. Other than that, yeah, really. Next.
All right. Well, to finish things up for us, Mr. Anthony Bachman, what you been getting into, sir?
Let's see. So all caught up on She-Hulk. We're like halfway through the new season of Cobra Kai, which they had another rumble between like the two main characters, Robbie and Miguel, which was it was a good sequence to get through. They actually get to the point in this new season, depending on where you're at, where you see kind of Daniel LaRusso's life is kind of falling apart because of what Terry Silver's doing, and he ends up going to Johnny Lawrence for advice, and actually gets good advice because Johnny Lawrence has kind of really got his shit together at this point. And it's kind of funny where like there's a point where he's about to like LaRusso's about to punch Johnny Lawrence because he wants to like get into a fight because he's so angry and he's drunk, and Johnny Lawrence is like, "What are you doing, man?" And it was awesome to see the scene where LaRusso's like, "Wait, if you think I'm over the edge, like, what the hell is wrong with me right now? Where like I'm coming here to pick a fight with you." It's like, that's not the Dana LaRusso anybody's seen before. But yeah, the acting in that show is just spectacular, and they're doing so much good storytelling in it. I love that show. We watched the first 3 episodes of Andor, where they dropped those. I can see where all the reviews I've heard and listened to talk about like the reason they did 3 episodes is because the first 2 are a lot of really slow setup, and the 3rd episode is when you get the first big action sequence. And so if they'd have dropped the first 2 episodes by themselves, I don't think a lot of people would come back for the 3rd episode of Andor, because it's just really slow. But I mean, it is like the most, I mean, adult in the non-fantastical way of saying adult Star Wars. So like it has that Rogue One like vibe to it. It doesn't feel, like you can be damn sure like there's not going to be any Ewoks or Gungans in the Andor story. Like it's very like kind of spy, like just dark storytelling. It's good, but is very much not like the hopeful Star Wars that most people are used to. So I think it might throw a lot of people off by that, where if they're not going in expecting to see kind of a gritty story, they may be disappointed. But I mean, the show's really good. Diego Luna's awesome as Cassian Andor. I'm excited to see where they go with it now that there's a Skarsgård in it as well. I mean, you put a Skarsgård in anything and it's pretty cool. And yeah, Stellan Skarsgård's like recruiting. I think he's the guy that's going to recruit Cassian into the rebellion. But yeah, it's a really entertaining show so far. It'll be cool to see what they do with the first season. See what else. Last night we've been getting into getting ready, like prepping for the spooky season. Last week of September, started watching some horror movies. I've been rewatching my Blu-rays of Nightmare on Elm Street, some Prophecy, some Hellraiser flicks, and then last night we finally watched Bad Candy, which is an Amazon anthology series. So it's a movie that's an anthology horror film, and it's kind of like the deep impact to Trick or Treat's Armageddon. So it's trying to do the same thing that Trick or Treat did, where you have an anthology of horror tales that are all somehow interconnected, and there's an overarching kind of like supernatural character, and all of it's just not done as well as Trick or Treat. So where Trick or Treat had Sam and like all the stories fit together, and there's a lot of great actors. Bad Candy has Zach Galligan and another guy playing radio DJs who are telling horror stories on Halloween night. And it kind of cuts back and forth between them and the stories. And it just, like, everything falls just short of good. It's like, that this was a good script, and that like there were really good intentions for making like an awesome anthology series. And it's like just like a flat 5 out of 10. Like, it's not bad. It's not awful. I'm not mad I watched it. But it's one of those movies where you get done, you're like, oh, that could have been so much better if they'd have just fixed like these 4 or 5 things. So yes, not a bad flick, but definitely, I mean, watch Bad Candy and then go watch Trick or Treat, and you'll see like how a concept is done and then how a concept is done perfectly. And so yeah, it's it's a nice stepping stone. But yeah, it's the deep impact to an Armageddon. It's not the good version. It's the cheap, fastly made version. But yeah, we watched that, and then celebrated my girl's birthday this week. So
Happy
on
birthday.
Friday, she took the day off. Woke up to a nice new Ninja ice cream machine. So we're making ice cream today. And then we decided one of her favorite places in Idaho is a place called Silver City, which is an old abandoned, well, not quite abandoned, but basically an abandoned mining town where there's maybe like 50 people that still live there. And it's way, way up in the Owyhees. So it's like a 2-hour drive from here. So yeah, yesterday 2 days ago, so Friday. Been a long week. Friday,
I know that feeling.
Yeah, we got up a little early, and then took a nice road trip. So got her birthday present. She woke up to that, and then we went for a road trip. Went and checked out Silver City, which I lived here most of my life, and I've never been there. So it was cool to see a lot of these old buildings, really old churches, the town cemetery. There's headstones in there from the late 1800s, which Idaho hasn't been around that long, so seeing 150-year-old headstones in a graveyard is pretty old for the state of Idaho. And it's cool to see like some of the gravestones in that graveyard still have like people putting like flowers and like coins on them because they still have family members that live in town. So there are like people's families who have lived in Silver City for 100 some odd years. And so it's cool to see there are still people living there. Like there's a little gift shop. The hotel itself has all this just crazy stuff in the front room when you walk in. There's an actual, they still has the cage for the telegraph office, and the telegraph is still like on the counter. You can see the little touchpad for the telegraph. And there's an old school safe in there and a bunch of mining tools from the late 1800s in a case. And there was a great kind of dichotomy. Everything in there is like being updated and fixed, and like there's power tools laying around and stuff. They're trying to fix a bunch of stuff while maintaining the historical parts of the building. And so one of the cases literally has like a book on assaying mines, and it had like mining equipment and like parts of the head of an axe and chisels and like pieces of weights and stuff from measuring gold. And then in front of that case was 2 boxes of solar panels, because they're apparently going to put some solar panels up in town somewhere. So seeing like old school tech from like the 1800s that they were using to to find and dig through these mines, and then right in front of it like the newest piece of technology that had just been delivered to town. And like imagining like the mailman having to go out there, because it's literally over 40 miles of like country and mountain back road. Like the freeway drive from here to where the highway ends, where you go off-roading, feels almost as long as the actual dirt road drive where you're just bouncing up and down on buckboard, just rutted out old dirt roads. Yeah, it was an awesome trip. Got to see a cool piece of Idaho history. And then part of I'd gotten it wasn't a Kickstarter, I think it was a Zoop, one of the first like Kickstarter offshoots that they'd done a while back. I'd gotten one for Bart Sears, who used to do all the covers for the Wizard magazine and the How to Draw Brute and Babe series. He had done a series of headshots where I think he drew 100 of them and then turned them into like a Kickstarter, but they did it on Zoop. He sold the book, and when they were selling them, if you paid a chunk extra, you could actually get one of the sketches. And so for part of Jana's birthday, I actually ended up getting her one of the sketches that Bart Sears did. So I got her an original Harley Quinn sketch by the Bart Sears. So she was pretty stoked to see that one. And it's a nice little rendition of her. So it was cool to see that. And I was actually able to pull the book out and like, hey, this is a Kickstarter I got a while ago, but I didn't show it to you because, well, it had a piece of art hidden in it that you're getting for your birthday. Yeah, so that's been like sitting in my file cabinet for like 6 months. But yeah, I like my mom. I like to get birthday and Christmas presents way ahead of time. Like I already have all of Jana's Christmas presents. They're already in my file cabinet, which is where I hide presents. But yeah, get to celebrate my girl's birthday. We had some fun, and then yesterday was a lazy around the house. Watch silly movies on Amazon after watching some good Disney shows. And then I watched this week's episode of She-Hulk. It's hilarious. Like the fourth wall breaking that Tatiana Maslany does in this episode, where she gets invited to a friend's wedding and she's supposed to be a bridesmaid, and literally turns to camera and says, yes, this is a non-cameo episode of a wedding in the middle of a show. Is that inconvenient? Yes, just like weddings always are. They're inconvenient for everybody else. And then like it is a great character written episode because of course Titania shows up to try and like ruin the wedding because she's still pissed off at She-Hulk for winning the copyright infringement case. And it's ridiculous and funny and really entertaining. And yeah, anybody that's complaining about this show, they're complaining for, I'm just going to assume, misogynistic reasons, because this show is fucking great. Probably. And if you like She-Hulk, you would like this show. Especially if you ever enjoyed the comic, it's freaking hilarious. The show's fantastic.
Some people have unreasonable expectations that everything needs to shift the MCU into a new phase, whereas this is a lawyer workplace comedy that has a superhero in it.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. Oh, and one little thing I saw yesterday, because people were complaining about, like, I guess, some shit about, like, the new Phase 6 or whatever with Marvel. It's like, oh, we don't have an Iron Man. We don't have a Captain America. It's like, motherfucker, we have a Captain America. And not only do we have a Captain America, but Anthony Mackie's statement that he put out yesterday was they asked him what he wanted to do for, like, Captain America New World Order. He's like, I want a scene as good as the elevator fight scene.
Right.
Like, when the man's aiming that high, like, he ain't messing around. The fact that he's like, no, that's one of the best scenes we've done in any of these movies. When Steve is like, does anybody want to get out before we start? And then he just beats the shit out of 20 super soldiers in an elevator. Like, that sequence was fantastic. And yeah, the fact that Anthony Mackie wants to do something that good with his Captain America, I'm excited to see it. Because yeah, that sequence is so damn good.
There were super.
Well, I mean, not super. Okay, it's S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
There were 20 of them.
There was like 20 of them. That elevator was packed.
20 of them. It was packed. Maybe 9 guys in total. And that's including Cap.
There's way more than 9 guys in that elevator fight.
Not way more.
Way more.
Maybe 2 extra.
I'm going with 20. You can go with 9.
Well, here's your mission. Rewatch it and you guys count
flopping around that elevator. I doubt that.
Well, I mean, you rewatch it, you can also see that elevator is about 10 feet by 10 feet wide.
Oh, I know it was a
giant
big
elevator.
I know.
S.H.I.E.L.D. does S.H.I.E.L.D. things, man.
It's true. She has S.H.I.E.L.D. building, They got to have elevators.
It's not a fucking TARDIS, though.
They got to have elevators big enough to, the Hulk can, hop in an elevator and ride upstairs. Hulk hates stairs.
Hulk does.
Too many stairs!
Everyone hates stairs.
That's true. But yeah, that's what I'm getting into.
Well, very nice. On that note,
Hulk
though,
just dive down and just fall to the earth and get up, be all right.
Yeah, superhero landing.
And there's that. On that note, though, I think we are going to shut this thing down. A big thank you to everyone that has been with us potentially for 500 episodes of this podcast show thingy, whatever we want to call ourselves. 500. That's a lot. We didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's 500.
We didn't want to do anything super special like that. It's just a big milestone that, personally, when I first started doing podcasting a decade plus ago, I was like, I don't think I'll ever make it to 100. Now here we are 500 later.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I mean, that's the best way to put it.
200 more before I'm technically been on here for 500 episodes.
So Willie's like, I want to go to a daily podcast for the next year so I can get to my 500 mark. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I don't care that much.
Willie's going to be our producer when we do that too, so he'll be editing and putting things on the feed.
Oh, shit. I do it. I don't fucking care.
You guys heard it here first. Willie's going to be editing the podcast going forward.
If you trust this laptop I got right here to do that?
Audacity doesn't require system resources.
Audacity's free.
If you think this laptop can do a good job for it,
you can probably run Audacity.
We'll find out. No, but in all seriousness,
200 episodes of a podcast on Audacity. It works all right.
Yeah, in all seriousness, thank you to anyone who's been with us from 1 episode or 500 episodes or anything like that. It's a big milestone. I honestly didn't know if we would ever hit it, and we did, and that's pretty awesome. It's a cool, just personal fulfillment thing to be like, hey, podcast we worked on hit 500 episodes. That's pretty effing cool.
That's a whole lot of bitches been cut.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of content when you go and think about it. That for like the first 200 episodes, this was like a 2-hour long show, if not longer, and then we trimmed it down. Yeah. There's a lot of content of us talking about stupid shit on the internet. Why do you think I'm so?
Back to Adahay Willie, who started the show, because he used to say he would cut a bitch.
I know.
Look, there's
My joke was like, who did we cut off the air?
There's almost 500 episodes of me talking for at least an hour at a time. Why do you think I'm afraid of that respeecher tool?
Yeah, I can get you to say anything.
Because no one cares about your voice.
It's probably true, but the potential is
true.
there to really mess with me.
Your senator doesn't give a fuck about your voice. Only who's paying him money.
I'm not paying anyone money. I'm cheap.
That's why he doesn't give a fuck about your voice.
That's fair. But I guess what it comes down to is thank you, everyone. Whether you've been here for 1, 500, or somewhere in between, we appreciate it, and we're hoping to do more. And hey, let's see if we hit 1,000.
Damn right.
That's another 10 years from now, basically, though.
What else are we gonna do?
Yeah, that's true.
See?
He's not wrong. You guys got any final thoughts for the people before we shut this thing down?
Just wishing a happy birthday to my fiance, who is awesome.
I got the diabetes.
I regret everything right now. Everything. On that note, thank you everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week for episode 501. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Awful Geek Radio app, and over at our network home at gonnageek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@gonnageek.com, on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com.